Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Here I am with a special guest, Marla Press. She's the founder of Speakers on Fire Academy. It's a high voltage speaker coach and art of presence trainer, and she's the developer of Expressive Intelligence. Marla helps speakers master presence, free authentic expression, and create unforgettable impact on stage, camera, social media, and in every conversation. So happy to chat with you today, Marla. Thank you so much for joining me. And I also want to say before we get started, sorry that we are a bit late. Had some technical difficulties getting all connected and getting everything set up so that we can stream all over the place. So hopefully you're able to see us in all the different places that we were advertising to come to you today with this conversation about expressive intelligence with Marla Press. So, Marla, please tell us a little bit about why public speaking is still the number one fear and why is it important to get out there and speak?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy, right? It's the number one fear. It's above going to the dentist, which nobody likes, and it's above death. It's above death. Really? People would rather die than be on a stage. And and of course public speaking doesn't have to be you on a big stage. Some people don't even want to speak up in a meeting or speak up in some smaller context or online or on social media, doing a video of yourself or doing this live where there's no redos. Here we are. So it's kind of vulnerable, right? And it's also, you're putting yourself out there, you're expressing your views, and everyone's going to be judging you, right? They're judging us right now.
Yes, like
We're human. People judge each other in the first few seconds, and so people don't want to expose themselves that way. And so it's still the number one fear. But it's getting better. There's a lot more speakers out there, and there's a lot of techniques and things you can do to make it easier and more effective.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, even just speaking about this whole conversation that we're even having right now. I know for me, I've always been comfortable kind of doing public speaking. I don't know what's wrong with me. But this type of public speaking where we have the two screens where we're next to each other on our computers and we're trying to have a conversation with each other, it's always weird for me because I'm like, I have to stare at this green dot, but I want to look at you down here. So when you
Right.
guys are seeing me and I'm looking all over the place, it's because I hate that green dot. It's uncomfortable. I feel like it's like, why is that thing there? Why do we have to look at that? So I can imagine how people feel about even just getting on a stage and having all those eyes on them because I'm
Yeah.
not even comfortable with the green dot.
And that's a great point. And I go back and forth between looking at you because I do want to see you. I want to see your expressions and I want to feel you. And if I'm having a lot of people on the screen, then, I go back and forth between, and I look just underneath my camera. So hopefully it doesn't look like I'm looking somewhere else, but I don't look up at it. See, this is me looking at my camera directly. That's not good either. And it just feels weird. So I look just a little below it and I go back and forth, and people understand that. They understand that, they know what we're doing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's a great point because a lot of people, it's just uncomfortable for them.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it though. So that was a really great point about, you can just find the spot on the screen that you're comfortable looking at and looking at the people and just be yourself and lean into, just having a natural conversation.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know also, why are you so passionate about speaking?
Yeah, I mean, it stems from probably all the way from my childhood. Number one, I grew up in theater, and so I love the performance aspects of it, and I love, being out there and speaking your message. And then the opposite of that was I didn't speak up personally from trauma that I had. And so I really want to help. And so many people have had some sort of trauma, different degrees, but some sort of trauma. And so being able to put yourself out there and feel comfortable in your own skin and tell your story, if you have a story that's motivational, that so many people do, I'm passionate about helping people do that. And also just helping people promote their businesses because we're in a digital world now that you have to promote online and in person still. You have to do both. And so I'm really passionate about helping people, especially mission-driven entrepreneurs and coaches who really want to help other people, helping you grow your business.
Yeah, awesome. That's wonderful. I have that theatrical background too, so maybe that's part of the being comfortable
Oh, okay. Didn't
being
know
on
that.
stage
No,
and
look, I'm finding out
yeah.
something new.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember to go to that one very often, so yeah, another past life, I wanted to be an actress. But, um, so again, I'd like to ask you, how do you think that you're different from other speaking coaches?
Yeah, it's funny. There's a lot of people that were never a speaking coach before, and all of a sudden that's part of their program, what they're offering. It's like everybody's offering speaker coaching because everybody needs to be out there speaking to grow your business. Or if you're writing a book, you got to promote it by speaking about it. And so there's a lot of noise out there. And I'm different because I combine so many different aspects of speaking. My background is in psychology, so I
Mhm,
bring a lot of psychology into it. And since it is the number one fear, there's a lot of psychology that goes into it. People have imposter syndrome or afraid to be too much or they're not good enough and how they look and all those things that affect speakers. And so I do bring the psychology in there. And also, what is the psychology of your audience? Because that has
mhm,
changed over time. And what do they want? And how do you address that? And so there's a lot of psychology, but then I bring in, the theatrical background. So a lot of people have a big heart, but they don't know how to entertain. And you got to be a little entertaining in this day and age, right? It's essential, and you have to balance. You can't just be projecting yourself and being entertaining. That's a mistake I used to make. I was just way too in performance mode, and people didn't connect to me.
mhm,
So it's really important to balance that authenticity and that connection and trust with the entertainment factor. But you got to
mhm.
have both. And that balance is not 50-50. It depends on your personality and what works for you and your audience. But you got to have both. And so I
Yeah.
bring that in there. And I was a correctional officer. I was a federal prison guard for a while. So I got some boldness in me. I've done a lot of things that people would be surprised about. And I bring that boldness to it too, because you got to be bold to stand out. And I help people get out of their comfort zones. So it's a combination. And I've studied, oh my gosh, I've studied marketing and business and the speaking industry so much that I bring all of that in at one time. It's not just, I don't lead with selling from stage, even though that's the model I mostly use, is helping you sell from stage. But it's so much more than that.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's so many things in there. I love that. I forget about the prison guard part, so when you mentioned it again, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's right." Yeah, that'll definitely make you bold and know how to speak up for yourself, I'm sure. And then I know that some people try to bring in things like NLP or whatever when it comes into speaking and selling things, but to really get into the actual like psychology of who your audience is, I think that's genius to bring that part in too, because
Yeah.
we talk a lot about what's going on with you psychologically and subconsciously and all of those things, but getting into what's going on with your audience in those ways, I think really could help people develop much better ways to communicate with their audience, because that's all it is at the end of the day, is we're just communicating and we're trying to communicate our message in a way that sells. And I love that you find all the ways to put those things together so that you can do that. So what are some of the big mistakes that people make when they're doing this public speaking?
Oh my gosh. So I have a, a gift, let's call it, where it's top 10 mistakes speakers make, because there's so many. But a couple I just want to mention here that are huge, huge. One is being in your head energy,
Mm,
which sounds a little woo woo, but we're all affected by energy. Communication is 70% energy. It is not the words you're saying, it's your energy, which is a combination of your body language. And on Zoom, it's your facial expressions,
mhm,
and it's your confidence, and it's your passion, and it's your conviction of what you're saying. So it's all these different things wrapped together, and it's this energy that we can't even put into words. What is energy? We all feel it. We all experience what we, that how we feel being around somebody. But it's so much more than that. And people are up in their head energy, and they're in their intellect, and they're in their to-do list and worrying about what they're saying, and they worry too much about what they're saying. That's another mistake. But this head energy is huge. So through an exercise, because again, you can't intellectualize about it, I help people get out of the head energy into not just the heart energy, because everybody talks about that, speak from your heart. It's the heart and the gut. That's not a super pretty word, so I call it your home space.
Mhm.
So your heart and your home space. And when you can combine those two energies and speak from that place, it makes all the difference in how you're received. And it even changes your content. It makes your content less about you and more about who you want to help. It makes it more emotional. And that doesn't mean sad necessarily, but it just has this emotional component to it that is just mesmerizing. It builds trust, and it creates connection. So that's one huge mistake, is being in your head.
Yeah.
And yeah. And the other is what I call it expressive intelligence. So I want to dive into that a little bit, because most people, when they speak, and there's the personal relationship component, or when you're at work, those kind of relationships, and then there's the on stage or on social media component, like you're more of a speaker. But in both those situations, people self-edit.
Mhm.
They subdue parts of their personality. They're speaking to be liked. They're speaking
Mhm.
to get approval. And so they subdue parts of their personality. And I want to open it up right there. I'm going to just want to open the chat here to see if there is, because I know there's some people watching live. Most of you are going to be watching on the replay. And we still want you to put chats in the chat, because we want to hear from you, and we will respond to you. However, right now, I just encourage you listening or watching this to think about what's at least one, if not three things that you subdue when you speak on a stage or in a meeting or in a work situation. So, for example, some people will subdue their sense of humor because they don't think it's appropriate, or they're thinking, what if they don't laugh at my jokes? And it doesn't even have to be jokes, right? Or, especially it could be just playfulness, or it could be just everyday humor that people relate to. And some people subdue that. Some people subdue their vulnerability. They're stoic, or they're shut down, and it creates a lack of connection if you can't be at least a little personal and vulnerable. So some people really, and vulnerable doesn't have to be you're telling your trauma story. It's just, being really personal and real and human, and, having that aspect to your speaking. Some people will subdue their authority. And especially if you're selling from stage, I see this all the time, that speakers will be, they're doing a great job teaching. And when it comes to making an offer, their energy just tanks, because
Mhm.
they don't embrace their authority, their bossiness even. But that's what you need. When you're making an offer, you have to be direct about it, and certain and confident. So people want to feel that from you, so they want to work with you. So there's some people subdue their femininity or masculinity. And I see this especially if there's women in a STEM position, or, finances. There are certain sort of still male dominated professions that women will subdue their femininity because they don't think they should show that. And it's not about being sexy. It's about feminine qualities. And when you subdue that, and even on a stage, you subdue that, and parts of you are missing, and the audience may not consciously feel it, but they will subconsciously feel that. So a lot of it is about, what do you subdue? So right now, write down 3 things that you subdue. And if you
Mm.
put them in the chat, we'd love to honor that, because we all do it. Come on, we all subdue something. And if it's, if it's in a first date, or even with your spouse, are you subduing parts of yourself because you want
Mm.
them to like you?
Yeah, you want to be trusted and liked, and everybody wants everybody to like them, even though we know that's not possible. But we still go out there into the world and try to get everybody to like us. So we try to fit into whatever we think that they might want.
Right?
That's
We could
really
be so wrong about that, right? Yeah.
Very wrong, very wrong. I was having a wonderful conversation earlier today about uh, with my friend Denise. She does this thing called Wacky Wednesday, where on Wednesday she gets dressed up all silly and crazy makeup and wigs
I
and all kinds of
love that.
things. No matter what it is, she could be at a job interview, she could be on a plane. It doesn't matter. She'll still do Wacky Wednesday, like she's committed to it. And just talking about how some people absolutely embrace it and love it and just get a kick out of it, and other people are just totally like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it's like you can't make everybody like you. Just be you.
Yeah, I love that. Shout out to Denise. Oh my gosh, I
Yes.
love that idea. Yeah, and you know what? You might put a smile on someone's face. You might lighten someone's day that you don't
Mhm.
even know, because they're not telling you that, but you never know whose life you can change. So absolutely, be
Mhm.
quirky, right? Bring out your quirkiness. I tell speakers, there's too many speakers out there. How do you stand out? Be your
Mm.
unique self and be all of you. Don't be someone else. Don't add things that aren't part of you. But what are you
Yeah.
subduing?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's really interesting too, and you can kinda see it sometimes when people are trying to, like, emulate, like, "I wanna be like Tony Robbins," or something. It's like, Something's off here, like, what are you doing? It's not quite right." And I always joke because I'll tell people, I go, "Okay, now we're gonna have this conversation, but I'm probably gonna go into my phone voice because I spent so many years
Mhm.
doing, telemarketing, so that phone voice
Okay.
will come on." And I'm like, and you start to sound like a different person when you're doing certain things, and it's just really weird how that happens, kind of clicked in like in our heads, like you were saying. So remembering to kind of just drop down into our heart and into our gut. And I loved what you said, the home
Yeah.
space. That just it made me feel all nice inside.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's
that was
it's where we're
beautiful.
truly home. It's the essence of who you are. And most people, if they haven't done it before and they try and do it on their own, they don't quite get there. So I take them
Mhm,
through it's only a 10-15 minute exercise, but it's so powerful. Yeah.
mhm. I can imagine. I can imagine. So, what does it really mean then to have that presence, and how do you help people get it?
Yeah, so that's kind of what we've been talking about, is
Mm,
people think of presence as mindfulness. And mindfulness is a great practice. We all want to practice that. It's not focusing on the past, not focusing on the future, or how what you're doing now is going to affect the future, but being in the present moment, and really uh, trying to be mindful about the present moment. And it's a great practice, but you're still in your head energy. And
mhm,
so presence is getting out of that head energy altogether and just coming into your full body energy. And when you do that, it makes such a difference in your conversations, let alone in if you're speaking or promoting your business. It makes a huge difference, and it feels good, absolutely.
mhm,
But it's the kind of thing you have to be guided to do it. You have to, so you can't really intellectualize about it, and you have to
mm,
practice it. Some people, within a couple of times, they get it, and other people, it could take 10 times before
mhm,
you're all the way there. But each time you'll be a little closer, and you'll feel the difference. You'll experience it. In my master classes, and I have one coming up, I take you through that exercise. So you'll want to join me for that master class, because I do the sort of a 7-minute version of it as opposed to a 10 to 15, but you get it and you see people transform in real time. It's amazing.
mhm. Nice, nice. And we're gonna have to share a link for that masterclass in here somewhere so people can join in. Definitely. Um, I know. Hopefully, you can put it in. I don't know, the chat or something, and we can put it in the description once these lives are done. But oh, there we
There it
go.
goes,
Beautiful.
right there.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. And so earlier also you mentioned expressive intelligence, and I've never heard that before. And that was one of the things where I was like, yeah, let's talk about that. I want to learn more. So can you explain more about what expressive intelligence actually is?
Yeah. So, like I said, it has two parts. And we talked a fair amount already about the first part, which is so important. It's the awareness and then the ability to speak from all parts of your personality. And there's a lot to it. It sounds like, I can do that, but there's a lot to it. The second part is speaking your whole truth. So that is about saying what you really think and feel, and the intelligence to be able to do that without getting confusion, resistance, or defensiveness. So it's a real art and science of how you speak so people listen. And this is so important. Oh my gosh, in today's world, lots of people are speaking and they're not being heard, or they're creating confusion or a lot of defensiveness. So what types of things can we do so that we're not fearful about speaking our whole truth, and it lands, so that we do it in such a way that it is well received and understood? And I'm very passionate about helping people with that, because it helps in your whole life, your relationships, your work. And if you're on stage, it's the same thing, because it's tied into, you speak to be likable or for approval, because you're afraid to rock the boat, or you're afraid, to take a stand because you're going to turn some people off.
Mhm.
But I would rather be edgy and tell people what I believe in and what I have conviction for, and resist, and have some people go, well, I'm not for her. Great, that's fine. But other people, when you do this, when you have that edginess and that full conviction, you're also going to line up all the people that are aligned with you and that love what you're saying. And that is more important than, having a few people that are going to say, no, not for me. Because if you speak to be likable, maybe no one's going to say, no, not for me, but no one's going to sign up either.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. It's definitely much more valuable to just be authentic and draw in those people that really are part of your tribe or your clan, that they're like, yeah, we believe that too. Let's go do this.
Yeah.
Versus trying to gather everybody with a wishy-washy kind of message. And then nobody's really on the team. They're just kind of like, oh, okay, that was nice, but
Yeah. Yeah.
we're not ready to
Correct
take any
clapping. Yeah.
action. Applause, yes. They say applause is not credit cards.
Yes. Yes.
It's not the same. So definitely, yeah, being able to speak in a manner that you're sharing something that's authentic, that's valuable, that's truth, and that draws other people in, that can definitely grow from that and learn from that, which I hope is happening in this conversation. I hope you all are learning something new to bring into your speaking and into your practice, so that you can be that authentic person when you show up, whether it's on the stage or on camera, over the phone, or
Yeah.
face to face with
Yeah.
people, because we're always speaking. Um, but
Great point.
I
Even
love.
on the phone, the difference in your energy makes a huge difference, right? Because they can't see you. They don't have that visual cue. So it's your energy they're tuned into even more. And
Mhm.
yeah, this is so important. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so, with that in mind, also, would you like to share some more about how this applies to people who don't speak on big stages?
Yeah, and I also want to circle back to that word authentic, because
Mhm,
we hear the words presence and authenticity a lot. But people don't really know how to be those things. It's like we think, yeah,
mhm,
I'm authentic. I'm not a fake. Well, yeah. I mean, there's degrees of authenticity, right? Yeah, you're not a fake, and I don't mean you, Kay. I mean, I'm talking to everybody out there watching and listening. by the group you and y'all, whatever you want to say. And it's important to really dive into what that means, because tweaking your presence, tweaking your authenticity will make a big difference in your communication. So I just want to put that out there too. But yeah, it's not just if you're on a stage. And, even some of my clients that come to me for speaker coaching, they say, well, I don't want to be a professional speaker. I don't want to be on a big stage. Great. But do you want to be, are you on social media? If you're on social media, video has, I don't know if it's 60%, the exact statistic, more relatability and builds more trust, and more people are going to pay attention to your posts when it's video. And it can be, a 30-second video. It doesn't have to be this more educational 20-minute one, but it's something that you want to add to your social media. You want to add it to your emails. Put a video in your emails. And so that's a stage. Or it's even, like I said, if you're on a team and you don't even own your own business, how do you speak so that your ideas come across without resistance or confusion? How do you speak so that you feel good? How do you speak to your spouse or your partner or your date or your kids? How do you speak in so many situations? These are skills that will help you with that.
Yeah, wonderful. I think that's so amazing to remember that we're always speaking. It doesn't have to be some big, glorious stage with thousands and thousands of people in the audience or anything like that. It can just be a conversation between you and one other person, and how you show up in that conversation can make all the difference. So I really appreciate you taking this time to chat with me, Marla, and share your experience and your knowledge around speaking. If there's just one thing that people could take away with them from this conversation, what would you like that to be?
Yeah, I think it's really important to, so come to the masterclass. I also am doing a brief masterclass in a meetup the day before. So this is February 11th, and then February 10th, I will put that link to join that, because maybe you're available the 10th, not the 11th, vice versa. Come to both. I mean, really, they're both going to be different, even though they're both talking about expressive intelligence. But I will put the other link in the chat because I can't put it here right now. And it's really important to explore your communication, because, it's the number one reason couples break up. It's a close tie with finances. Finances and communication are huge when it comes to relationships. And that's work relationships, it's personal relationships. And then if you have a business and you want to promote that business, it is essential that you learn these skills. And I would love to help you with that. So thank you so much, Kay, for talking about this important subject. I really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you again. Thank you so much for being with us. And with that, I appreciate everyone for coming and joining us, whether you catch us on the replay or caught us live. And let us know if you have any other questions or comments or thoughts. Make sure you put them in the chat, because we'll be checking that later on as well. And have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you.